Hello everyone and welcome back to Chess With MNM. Today I brought to you the game 1 of the round 1 of the day 1 of Chess Clutch online tournament on leechess.org between Magnus Carlsen and Xiong. Now before I start the video, this tournament, there are 8 players playing at this tournament. Fabiano Caruana, Magnus Carlsen, Xiong, Leven Aronian, also Sowisley, MVL, and Linir Dominguez. Also Alexander Grischuk, okay? So yeah, this is the tournament, and this is the game 1 of the round 1. Now, Xiong by the black pieces, and Xiong one of the top 20 players in the world, and also Magnus Carlsen is the world champion, okay, for who doesn't know, new information. So yeah, let's check out the game. Carlsen with the white pieces and Xiong with the black pieces. Carlsen opened this game by c4, the English opening. c5 by Xiong, knight to c3 developing the knight, and now g6. e3 preparing to pushing d4, knight to f6 by Xiong, and now d4 by Carlsen. C capture on d4, e capture on d4, and now d5 hitting the center. Queen to b3 by Carlsen, putting more pressure on the d5 square, and here Xiong simply played bishop to g7, developing his bishop on the h8 a1 diagonal, also preparing to castle. Here Carlsen captured the pawn on the d5, c capture on d5, and it seems like a free pawn, but it's not actually, because the black always has knight to a6 and then knight to c7 attacking the pawn on the d5 treble. Even if the white protected the pawn, then queen to d7 and then bringing the other rook into the d8 comes, and probably the white will lose that pawn because it's so weak pawn on the d5 and it's hard for the white to protect him. So after c capture on d4, here Xiong castled, and now bishop to e2, by Carlsen. Knight to a6, I want to play knight to c7 to attack the d5 pawn, and now simply bishop to f3, I don't want to give you the pawn. Here Xiong pushed b4. B5. The idea by b5 is I want to push b4 at some point, okay, to removing one of the defenders of the d5 square. Also here, if you capture the pawn on the b5, queen capture on b5, then rook to b8 comes. Rook to b8 attacking the queen. Now the idea here, when you move your queen to anywhere, example to the a4, and this is the best move, then knight to b4 comes. The threat is knight to d6 to check, and not allow you to castle. I mean here, if you prevent that threat by something like queen back to d8, then now bishop to a6 comes. Bishop to a6, I want to play knight to d3. Also, if you move your bishop back, example bishop back to e2, then I can capture on the e2, and then I can take back my pawn on the d5. It's not a problem. So for this reason here, after b5, Magnus Carlsen know this idea and he didn't capture on the b4, and here Carlsen simply played knight g to e2, preparing to castle. Rook to b8, I want to push b4, as we said, to removing one of the defenders of the d5 square, but here Carlsen played bishop to f4 attacking the rook. Rook to b6 by Xiong, and now knight, and here after rook to b6, Carlsen at this point played blundered, okay? I mean it's not a blunder, we can call it a mistake, because the white will has a counter attack on the queen side, and this is what we will see in the few moves, but in the next few moves. But I mean it's still not the best move, and it's still not good move. Here Carlsen captured the pawn on the b5, knight capture on b5. Now here Carlsen's idea is that if the black attacked this knight double by two pieces, example by the queen, or I mean by the queen or by the bishop, then I have a4, okay? And if you want to push a6, then he has to move his knight. And the idea here, he cannot move his knight into the c7 because simply I can capture by the bishop. And he cannot move his, or he can move, but it doesn't work. Knight to b8 doesn't work because simply I have queen to d3, and then if you push a6, I can move my knight back, okay? So here, but the reason which makes, or the move which makes knight capture on b5 mistake, and the move which probably Carlsen missed, and it is g5. Now the idea here by g5 that if you capture on the g5, then I have knight to c7 attacking the pawn, the knight on the on the b5 twice. When you protect him by a4, then I have a6, and I will capture your knight in the next move. And the problem here, if you play something like queen to g3, okay, still you your bishop on this diagonal, on the h2 g8 diagonal, to preventing something like knight to c7. Then g4 comes, g4 attacking the bishop, and this bishop trap it. You cannot capture on the g4, the pawn protected by two pieces. Also, something like bishop to e4 doesn't work because the knight on the f6 is controlling that square. So for this reason here, the best move for the white, and the move which played in the game, bishop capture on g5, and now simply knight back to c7, attacking the knight twice. a4 trying to protecting the knight, but simply a6 and that knight trap it. And here Carlsen played a6, d6, okay? Now d6, I want to destroy the black's pawn structure. I want to make him 4 pawn islands, also activating the bishop and the queen, activating my pieces, okay? This is the idea by this pawn sacrifice. Xiong here accepted the pawn. He played e capture on d6, and now simply here Carlsen castled. He cannot do anything for his knight. After castle, a capture on b5, and now a5 comes, attacking the rook. Rook back to b8 by Xiong, and now knight to g3, developing the knight. And here Xiong played knight to e6. I mean, knight to e6, the idea is attacking the bishop, okay? But here, after bishop back to e3, Xiong played knight back to c7. Bishop to g5 by Carlsen, and now again knight to e6. And Xiong here asking Carlsen, sorry, here after knight to e6, Carlsen played bishop back to e3, and now knight back to c7. I mean, Xiong here up a piece, but he playing on a draw. Why? Because I think he's scared a little bit from Carlsen or something like that. I don't know, but why are you playing like that? I mean, here you have to develop your rook, your bishop into the a6, stopping the a pawn. I mean, you have to do something, not like that, not playing on the draw. I mean, if Alir Zafir was playing this position, he will destroy Carlsen. I mean, he will smash it. Okay? I mean, playing like that, playing knight to e6, knight to c7, playing on the draw. Okay, you're playing against the world champion, but not like that. You're still super GM, and you're still one of the top 20 or one of the top 15 players in the world. I mean, knight to c7, it's not a good idea, or it's not a good strategy by Xiong. Here after knight to c7, Carlsen said, now you are afraid from me. Okay, I will not play on a draw, and I will decline the draw, and I will play rook to f to c1, rook f to c1, and now show me your skills, my dear Xiong. Xiong here said, okay, no problem, you don't want draw, okay, it's not a problem. Here Xiong played bishop to e6, attacking the queen, queen back to d1 by Carlsen, and now knight f to d5, trying to closing the diagonal. Because here, the white's counterplay is this passed a pawn, okay? Because the bishop pairs controlling the a7 and also the a8 squares. Also the rook supporting that pawn on the a5. So a6, a7, a8. It's a good counter attack for the white, okay? Here a knight f to d5, trying to closing the diagonal, and now a6 simply by Carlsen. Rook to a8, and now a7. I want to keep pushing my passed a pawn. Here Xiong played knight, queen to e7, and now knight to h5 comes. Knight to h5, I want to capture your your bishop. I mean, because if I capture it, then the king side will be so weak for your king, okay? Here Xiong played a beautiful move, and it is bishop to h6. So not here. Knight capture on e3 first, and after pawn capture, now bishop to h6, okay? The idea here that if you capture on the a8, I will capture on the e3 with check, and then I will grab your c1 rook. And this is what happened in the game. Bishop capture on a8, bishop capture on e3 check, king to h1, and now bishop capture on c1, queen capture on c1, rook capture on a8, and now simply Carlsen here played queen to c3. Queen to c3, the idea is playing something like queen to g3, checking this king and making a counter attack on the king side. But here simply Xiong played knight to d5, and knight to d5 wasn't a good move because it allowed for the white to playing g3. And the problem here that Carlsen didn't play g3, and Carlsen here played queen to c6. If Carlsen here played queen to g3, okay, queen to g3 check, then it will be a good position for the white. Why? Because here after queen to g3, then king to f8 comes, okay, queen to g7 by the black, and now by the white. Sorry, now queen to e8 comes, and here the white here simply can play queen to g8 check, and after something like queen to f8, then knight to g7 check comes, and after king to e7, then queen capture on a7. By this, the white will win a pawn. Also, this knight and the queen will make a good work on the blackest king. But here Carlsen missed that idea and he played queen to c6. Queen to c6, the idea is attacking the rook. Knight back to c7, and now queen to b7 by Carlsen. Queen to b7 is still putting a pressure on the rook on the a8, also threatening queen to b8, because here if I played queen to b8 check, if you capture by the rook, then I will recapture by the pawn and I will bring another queen. And the problem here that you cannot move your king into the g7 after queen to b8 check, because my knight controlling that square. I mean, it will be, it's a threat for the white here. It's a big threat for the white. And Carlsen here, Jeffrey Young here missed that idea. Unfortunately, Jeffrey Young missed that idea, and I think Jeffrey Young at this position had 20 seconds or something like that. However, Jeffrey Young missed that idea and he played bishop to g4. The idea is attacking the knight on the h5, but simply here Carlsen played queen to b8. Queen to b8 check by Carlsen. Here, of course, you cannot capture on the b8. The only move is covering the check by the queen. Queen to f8, and now simply knight to f6 by Carlsen, making fall between the bishop, also between the king. King to g7, queen capture on f8, king capture on f8, and now simply knight capture on g4, and by this Carlsen took back his piece. Also, he is up a pawn, and it is the pawn on the a7. I mean, all of this is for Jeffrey Young was scared from Carlsen because he was facing the world champion. It's God, Jeffrey Young here played so bad. Okay, however,
I am having a very bad day.
here after knight back to g4, knight capture on g4, Jeffrey Young played king to e7. I want to play queen to d. I want this king into the b7 square to grab the a7 pawn. Carlsen here played knight to e3. Okay, king to d7 now by Jeffrey Young, and now d5 simply pushing the d pawn. King to c8, and now simply here Carlsen played knight to f5, attacking the d6 pawn. So you have to move your king back to d8. The king back to d7, sorry, and now here Carlsen pushed h4. I want to grab more space in the king side. Here Jeffrey Young played knight capture on d5, and the idea by this pawn sacrifice is now the knight no longer guarding the a6 square, so here simply Carlsen played the rook to a6, attacking the d6 pawn. Knight back to c7, rook capture on d6 with check, king to e8, and now simply rook to h6. And the idea here that exchanging the h pawn with the a pawn, and here the idea why the Carlsen did that. I mean, the a pawn is on the 7th rank, but the idea here that the black's piece is so close on that pawn, and probably the black will capture it in the next move. So here Carlsen said, I will grab the h pawn and I will make a passed pawn in the other side. Okay, it's not a problem. Rook capture on a7, rook capture on h6, and now simply knight to e6. H5 by Carlsen. I want to push my passed pawn. B4, I want to make my counter attack in the queen side. And now after B4, here Carlsen played H6. Keep pushing the passed pawn. Rook to A5, attacking the knight, and simply G4, developing the pawns also. Sorry, what happened? G4, developing the pawns also guarding the knight. Rook to A1 check, king to H2, and now simply rook to A2 attacking the B2 pawn. Rook to H8 check by Carlsen, king to D7, and now simply king to G3. Rook capture on B2, H7 I want to, H7 now the threat is rook to D8 check if you capture by the king or by the knight. So H8 comes. So here Jeffrey Young played rook to B3 check, king to h4, and now simply rook to b1. The idea by this is if you play something like rook here, if you play something like rook to d8, and I will capture by the knight, and if you play queen h8 and queen, and simply I will play rook to h1 check, and then I will grab your queen in the next move. But here the funny thing that the best move here is playing rook to d8, and it's winning move. Why? Because here after knight capture on d8, Carlsen has this move, and it is sorry, not this, has this move, and it is knight to g3. And sorry, what? Wait a minute, rook to d8, knight capture, and now knight to g3. Okay, the idea here that you cannot play something like rook to h1 anymore. So now the threat is h8 queen, and even if you play something like rook to b2, you want to play rook to h2, then knight to h5 comes. Knight to h5, closing the file, so h8, there is no way to prevent h8 move. Okay, here after sorry, where? rook to b1. After rook to b1, Carlsen missed that idea. I think each players has, had 20 seconds or something, or 10 seconds or something like that. So for this season, they blundered too many blunders at this end game, and here Carlsen simply pushed g5. Okay, b3 by Xiong, and now simply knight to g3. Not all of this rook to comes into the h1 square, and now knight to f4 by Xiong. King to g4 simply attacking the knight, knight to g6 attacking the rook to g8 I want to capture, and then I want to push h8. b2 I want to make something on the queen side, but simply rook capture on g6. Rook to h1 trying to stopping the pawn, but here simply Carlsen played rook to b6, and it was at this position that Xiong simply resigned the game. Now why Xiong resigned the game? Because I mean, if you capture on the h7, I will capture on the b2, and I am up a piece. So there is nothing to do here at this position. So for the season here, after rook to b6 at this position, Xiong resigned the game. So yeah, this is the game one of the day one of the round one. If you enjoyed this game, please don't forget to smash the like and subscribe. Also, you can check out my previous videos, and see you in the next videos.